We are live.
That's my.
Okay. Good evening.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for June 23rd, 2020. We have two public hearings this evening and a few other matters to take care of. So we'll get started with our first public hearing for the evening. The applicants are Susan and David Pomerantz, and the lot size and location is 9,374 square feet at 50 Cedar Drive, Deerwoods, map number 2872, lot 101, Springs, tax map number 300-39-15-27. Project description here is to allow a 272 square foot of pool patio and pool equipment within side yard setbacks. The relief sought, variances of 8.7 feet and 1.9 feet are required from section 255-11-10 rear yard setbacks for the existing patio and pool equipment to remain 11.3 feet and 18.1 feet from the rear yard lot line where 20 feet is required. Variances of 9.7 feet and 3.2 feet are required from section 255-11-10 side yard setbacks in the pool equipment and pool patio to remain 10.3 feet and 16.8 feet from the side yard lot line setbacks lot lines where 20 feet is required. This is in a B zoning district, and the flood zone is X, and the secret class is type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
I have an affidavit of service and posting for the 11th day of June. So paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you. And this is in board member Vice Chair Delene's Springs District. Roy, if you would, with your field report, please.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. And if you will, give me a second. I'm going to share my screen.
Good.
With you so I can.
You get the technology award for the evening, Roy, so far.
Thank you. So you see, I've got the, let's see if I can pull this up.
Excuse me, Chair, if I may, there is a caller on the line.
Okay, thank you. They'll wait, but thank you. Thank you, Mike.
So if you all see my screen, yep. So I was at the site and you can see that it's officially posted. I took a picture walking up the driveway. You see the front of the house, and I'm gonna walk around to the left of the house into the backyard. Before I did that, I swung to the right to take a look at this neighbor's house so you can take a look at the screening. It seems like it's well screened, this property. Walking into the backyard, you can see the pool, and there's a shed to the left of the photo. And behind the shed, I'll have a photo next. You will see the pool equipment and the patio to the far end of the pool there where those two chairs is a patio that's in question. Here you can see the pool equipment that's attached to the shed. And the patio that's in question is just in the front of the photo, and I take an additional photo so you can see that patio a little bit better. So now you can see the patio, and clearly you can kind of see that it's been added to at some point. My conversation with the homeowner while I was there today was, they had nothing to do with it. They bought the house and it was there. So, but it looks like at some point it was added to. So that's it, Mr. Chairman, of my photos.
Okay, thanks, Roy. Any questions, board member, for Roy? No?
No.
Okay. Okay, do we hit, I believe, David, we have an agent for the applicant. David, are you?
Good evening, everyone. I'm David Filer. I represent Susan and David Pomerantz in this application. Law firm is Wayland Filer, 532 Montauk, Magansett. So hello, everyone.
Welcome, David.
John, just as a matter of introduction, I think that caller may be Mr. Pomerantz, so can we let him on?
Oh, okay, sure. Now we can, that the field
Yeah.
is done.
I'm assuming it's him, but
Right, sure.
Okay.
I know he's
Stand-
trying to call in.
Stand by
Sure.
for the caller 1 moment, please.
Thanks, Mike.
Caller, you're live
Good
with the
evening.
zoning board.
Good evening, everybody.
Mr. Chairman,
Everybody hear me?
Yes, is this Mr. Pomerantz on the phone?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good evening. If you are not an attorney, I will have to swear you in before you speak. I'm not sure if you are an
I'm not
attorney
an
or not.
attorney, and I'm ready to be. I'm not an attorney. I'm ready to be sworn in.
Okay, if you could raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good
David,
evening.
continue, or David Pomerantz, either one.
Okay, I'll start. Thank you, Will. Pomerantz, good evening. Thanks for joining us for this hearing. Just so the board knows, Mr. Pomerantz will speak at some point and here in case you will have questions for him that are answered by the homeowner. So let me just start by saying that we're talking about 50 Cedar Drive in Springs. This is a modest house in a modest residential neighborhood. The ground floor square footage of this house is less than 900 feet, and the property size is less than 1/4 of an acre. The Pomerantzes have owned this house since 2013. Susan Pomerantz is a lifelong teacher, and David works in healthcare. And in fact, I'll say that he has not been able to enjoy this house very much because he's been literally on the front lines of this COVID crisis. So I don't think he's been able to be out here very much in the last few months. So let me just start with a timeline because much of what we're going to talk about happened.
Excuse me 1 second, David. Sorry, somebody's scraping. Does anyone know what that noise is we're getting? Something is being
I
scraped.
don't believe it's from me.
Okay, I don't hear it now, but it was kind of bothersome.
The suggestion would be that everybody that
Oh,
is not
yes.
speaking should put themselves on mute.
Yes, thank you very much, Tim. Exactly. Thank you.
I'll go on mute. Got it.
Thank you.
So-
Go ahead. Go ahead, David.
Thank you. So much of what we're going to talk about happened before the Pomerantz's ownership, but I just want to go through it briefly with you all. A building permit was issued for this property in 2007 for a 2-story house with a covered porch and wood decking. Aerial photos from the Suffolk County GIS in 2007 show the house newly built, with disturbed dirt and so forth. A certificate of occupancy was issued in October of 2007. And then a year later, in April of 2008, a building permit was issued for the addition of a swimming pool and a shed. In November of 2010, a second certificate of occupancy was issued. This one recognizing the addition of the vinyl pool with proper fencing and the frame shed. Now, a 2013 aerial photo shows the pool with the brick coping around it in a conforming way. And as Member Deline suggested, later that pool patio was added to, and you even see it in terms of the color of the brick. The 2013 aerial was clearly taken in the winter. It would have been late winter. I'm assuming January, February. There's literally no leaves on the trees. It's a winter springs scene. 4 months into 2013, the Pomerantzes buy the house April 1st. They rely on a certificate of occupancy that I just mentioned, that one that was issued back in 2010. And they assumed, of course, that this property, which was new to them, was compliant in all respects. After all, the C of O had been issued, 3 years before their purchase. Now, the 2016 aerial on the Suffolk GIS system shows the increased brick patio around the pool, whereas the winter 2013 one does not. So at some point after the 2010 C of O, but before the 2013 purchase by David and Susan Pomerantz, the pool equipment may have been placed behind the shed in that non-conforming location, and the patio would have been increased in size. Now, I say that the pool equipment may have been placed behind the shed because a little unclear. Mr. Pomerantz, you'll hear that he's friends with his neighbors on either side, and they tell him that the pool equipment has always been in the non-conforming location from as long as they can remember. But in any case, it's non-conforming, and that's why we're here. I also want to note an error in our original narrative that our law firm submitted with the application. Now, I didn't write this narrative. It's actually written by a former associate at our firm. But she wrote mistakenly, and I want to correct it, that the Pomerantzes added on to an already non-conforming patio. And in fact, you'll hear Mr. Pomerantz will testify to you under oath tonight that he and his wife made no changes to this property, to the patio, to the pool equipment. The only thing they remember doing is fixing some bricks that had come out of the sand that they're placed in. They replaced some bricks that had become loose. So in any case, they acquired this in 2013, and I think our theory is, and the Pomerantz's theory is that to make the house more marketable, at some point, the previous owner increased the size of the patio behind the pool area to make it more usable, more attractive, and perhaps move that pool equipment behind the shed that member Deline just showed us. I do want to visit the property again with some photos that I sent in, and I'll go through them quickly because some of them are duplicative with what Roy has just shown us. But may I ask that my photos be brought up on the screen?
Sure, David, I can bring them up for you.
Thanks. Thank you, Mike. And I don't know if you have them in the order that I emailed them or what, but we can figure it out.
They may not be, but we can work our way through them.
Okay. I'll try to. Okay. So this one, just quickly, is a view from Cedar Drive. So you see the notice on the tree, and sorry, Chairman Whelan, I'm the one that nailed it to the tree. I know you don't love it when signs are on trees, but I'll take responsibility for that. You see that the property is quite well privatized, even from the front. There's a lot of vegetation here. I mean, Cedar Drive is largely wooded. You're looking to the north, so behind this house is Sycamore Drive. So we can go on to the next one, Mike. Another view of the front of the house, and we can go to the next one. And that's very similar to the photo that member Deline took today. That's the entry to the backyard. To the left would be to the east. The neighbor there is 52 Cedar Drive, and I'll bring them up shortly. And then right in front of us is the shed that was built. The shed is conforming, and behind that shed is the pool equipment. Okay, and we can go forward from there. Okay, and this is a view from the side yard, and behind this view would be 48 Cedar Drive, which is another neighbor we'll hear from in this hearing in the form of a letter. And this shows that patio. So you see the darker brick, I think, is that original coping that was there when the pool was built. And the lighter brick is the patio that was added on towards the north, and part of which is not conforming. I think what I want the board to look at there is you start to see the property is tremendously shaded. And Roy, I don't know if you noticed this today. I know we haven't had much rain, but it is a deeply dark and rather wet backyard because of the shade. It's heavily vegetated, and that brick area actually has signs of that. There's moss on it. Okay, and we can go forward. Okay, and this is looking at the shed. So this would be looking from one side of the property towards the other side. And of course, the pool equipment is to the right in that little box off the shed. We can go forward. This is a view towards the undeveloped or unimproved lots behind 50 Cedar Drive. So this is the Pomerantz's neighbors, I would say, to the north and to the west. And we'll talk about those lots in a minute, but again, there's a fair amount of just natural vegetation there. It's quite private. Okay, we can go forward. And this again is just from the other corner of the property looking towards the house. They have a small deck there that comes out of their back door, and they do have a table where they can eat outside. You'll see that the deck isn't really an appropriate place for pool furniture because the deck is tremendously shaded by, again, the trees and also the house itself. So I'm going to talk in a minute about really the only logical and reasonable place for any sort of pool furniture, whether it's a chair or a lounge, is on this patio that you see off the back of the pool, which would be in the lower right-hand corner of our frame right now. Okay, and we can go to the next one.
That's the last photo I have.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Pull up those letters, or
yeah, we can. One moment. Let's see here. Yeah, let's you can pull them up, and let me just start with the next section of my presentation, which is really the consequences going forward if the board decides to grant these variances that we're requesting. It is our contention that there is absolutely no adverse effect on the neighbors. And I want to start with the neighbors who are right behind the pool. So those folks are 35 and 37 Sycamore Drive. And those are the lots that I just mentioned that they're not improved, heavily wooded, sort of overgrown. But they're very deep lots coming off of Sycamore Drive, very deep. And I would urge you, the board, I know the board goes on to the Suffolk GIS, and I think when you're deliberating this matter, perhaps look at the GIS, Cedar Drive, and then Sycamore behind it. And you'll see that these lots, I imagine when they are developed, will probably have a house out in front on Sycamore Drive and a pool behind it back towards the Pomerantz's. And I did a quick review this week of the lots on the south side of Sycamore Drive, just to see sort of who has pools and who doesn't. And this is based on the 2016 aerial, so it's a few years old. But of all the houses that had pools on Sycamore on the south side, they all had houses in front on Sycamore and then pools behind them back towards where the property would be. And I'm just arguing that this indicates that the properties tend to be developed in this fashion, and it's consistent with the neighborhood. So I don't think the Pomerantz's patio or their pool equipment will ultimately be near a house behind them. And I'm saying this because I understand that any variance you grant runs with the land, and we have to think about future owners and future development of that land. Okay, so let's talk about the neighbors. As this board undoubtedly knows, neighbors of people seeking variances can do three things, I suppose, one of three things. They can remain silent. They can object, sometimes vociferously, and they can also support the application. In this case, the Pomerantz's have two neighbors who have proactively provided support, and these are letters, and I'm sorry, they're emails, but I'll just read them into the record. That first one there is from the neighbors at 48 Cedar Drive. So that, if you're looking at the Pomerantz's house, it's the house to the right. Okay, and I'll just read it's a very brief email, but it's addressed to the Zoning Board of Appeals, dated March 19th of this year, and it references the Pomerantz variance application, and says, to whom it may concern, our home at 48 Cedar Drive is directly next door to Susan and David Pomerantz's home at 50 Cedar Drive in Springs. They are and have always been exemplary neighbors, and we fully support the grant of their requested variances. Please feel free to contact us, etc. I won't read the emails and so forth. And that's signed by Maura, and that's M-A-U-R-A, and John Malone, M-A-L-O-N-E. So those are the folks that theoretically suffer the harm from the patio being too close to their property line. Okay, if you're looking, at the Pomerantz's pool from their back deck, it would be the house to the right and the patio on that side.
David, it's John. I just want to, just so you know, it's your first time here, and we welcome you, but typically we give the agent 10 minutes, so we want to try to keep things moving here.
I'll try to wrap it up here. The second letter is from the folks at 52 Cedar Drive, and this is Robert Jones, and he simply says, my wife Susan and I are the current owners of 52 Cedar Drive, which abuts 50 Cedar Drive property. We support the granting of variances which allow pool, patio, and equipment to remain in its current location. This layout has been in place for a number of years, and we are comfortable with it, etc. And thank you, Robert Jones. Thirdly, when we send out notices as the agent, as the lawyer for these folks, sometimes the neighbors call us and say, why am I getting a letter from a lawyer about something going on in the neighborhood? One such person called me. It's a resident of 33 Sycamore, which is behind the Pomerantz, sort of catty-cornered off to the right. And her name is Lori Lewis, and I explained why she had gotten a notice, and her response is, oh gosh, we don't have any objection to their application. So just putting that on the record as well, that was another neighbor that did call in. Okay, and lastly, I just want to talk about the downside and the onerous costs of removing the patio and moving the pool equipment. The pool patio, as it is really the only practical area, as I said earlier, for pool furniture to be, near that pool. You'll note that the area is totally covered in shade, and if there's no patio there, the furniture still really needs to be there, which means furniture likely in mud or moss. So then what's the solution to that if the applicant has to remove the patio? Well, the applicant would have to make a yard grow, a proper lawn grow, which probably means cutting down all the trees, which of course he can do as a matter of right, but doesn't want to do. But if you're going to get sun in there, you'd have to clear it. You'd have to probably haul dirt in there, sod, and I assume a bunch of chemicals to get the thing established and growing. I don't think that's a great alternative.
Mr. Filer, could I ask a question? Maybe you covered this, but in the photos, it was very clear there was a difference between the original coping and then whatever was added.
Right, the new.
That line of demarcation roughly where the variance starts?
It is. In fact, if you look at the earlier surveys or even the GIS aerial, you see a coping around it that's, it's narrow. It's kind of a narrow border that just kind of provides a frame around the pool, but certainly nowhere to sit or really even stand.
Okay. And then secondly, and I may have interrupted you before you got this, but are you going to give us an estimate of what it would cost the applicant to remove it?
You're anticipating my next section here. Yeah. I'll end with that. So I've just talked about the alternative to no patio, and I don't think it's a good one because I think it's hauling a lot of stuff in and chemicals and trying to get a lawn growing where a lawn doesn't want to grow, and it means clearing. I reached out to a experienced pool man in East Hampton this week to get an estimate, just a sort of a rough estimate of moving the equipment. And he told me sadly that minimal cost of $5,000 to $8,000 to move the filter and the heater. And that's just from one side of the backyard to the other, essentially. And he says the reason for the cost is you've got to put in a whole new gas line and a new electric line to go to the new location. As to the cost of the patio, I think we just talked about that, the removing of the trees and the vegetation, installing some sort of chemical thirsty lawn. So it just seems unjust to me that, given that not one of the neighbors is complaining, and in fact they're encouraging and ratifying the Pomerantz's request, that it's appropriate. And I know you have to consider all these things individually, right? So let's look at all the circumstances here. I think that it's the right thing to do, to grant the Pomerantz's requests. And thank you for your time. Sorry I went over.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, David. We will hear from the planning department next, and Michael, I'm sure will bring up that area.
Chairman, you mind if I ask a question or two?
Yes,
before we
I'm
go to
sorry, I
Chair?
beg your pardon. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so David, I want to focus in on the timeline you a little bit closer.
Sure.
So we said that it seems to be that from the winter of 2013 to the point in 2013, months later, where it was purchased, that
Right.
you're saying that that's what you believe the extension was added. Is that correct?
To the patio, yes. I can't help but think that the previous buyer thought it would look better and be more usable, frankly, if they increased the size of that patio. And, you know, those GIS photos are taken, I believe, in the late winter. So it had to have been done before April 1st, which is when David and Susan moved in.
Okay. The result of that, adding that patio, results in what I would consider a substantial variance. Is that correct?
I think the patio part is a substantial variance. Yes, absolutely, because it's more footage required. Yeah.
And the variance there is much greater.
Right. I mean, certainly contrasted with what the pool equipment requires off the back, and even
essentially
on the other
essentially
side.
essentially what I'm trying to get to is how, you know, in improving this, there's a precedence that will be set,
Right. Right.
or likely. So what is going to establish this different? I'm not sure that the deck attached to the house is adequate to establish uniqueness. I'm trying to look at uniqueness to the property. Shading is unique, but we've had situations too before. So we've got to look at this property in its unique fashion.
Right. Absolutely. And which I mean, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think that's what you have to do in all these situations, right? The reason we're here and the reason there's this process is because you folks offer a process by which somebody gets an exception to the rule. And obviously you can't give everybody an exception, say, okay, well, anybody on Cedar Drive can just build whatever they want towards the back of their land. But I think what I'm asking you to do is to look at all the circumstances here, including the properties around it on Sycamore, this is not inconsistent with this well-established neighborhood. And then add to that neighbors who proactively say, you know, we don't have a problem with this and we think you should grant this.
So in the end, you gave us a cost for the heater pool, but did you give us a cost for the removal of the patio?
No, I think that cost is harder to estimate because I think it's not just, you know, you can pull up bricks and haul them away or turn it into something else, fireplace or something, but then you got to think about, well, what's the alternative for where you would put furniture? And I think we know when you walk around that property, a lawn's not going to grow there unless you do some pretty drastic steps, which to me is clearing, significant clearing, which, you know, on that size property, he can clear 100% of it. I mean, let's hope he doesn't. And I know he doesn't want to, but I mean, essentially that's what you have to do to get the sun in there. I don't have a dollar figure for you on that.
And then I didn't also notice whether or not you offered any mitigation associated with these variances.
Well, I think that we're open to any ideas that the board has. I know that Mr. Pomerantz is planning to redo his shed to make a nicer shed. And, we can talk with him. I think he just tried to speak a moment ago, and I'm not sure when you all want to hear from Mr. Pomerantz, but, there may be a possibility of incorporating some of that pool equipment within that shed. And the shed's conforming.
Is there a possibility of covenanting the maintenance of the screening over time? Again, we have a situation that's going to be put in perpetuity. So
Right. I'm certain the Pomerantzes want screening. I think they enjoy. They bought the property they bought because they like the neighborhood and they like the fact that it's wooded. That there's a reason they're not living in the village. But we can certainly ask Mr. Pomerantz that as well.
I'm here. And I know time, perhaps my application is going quickly, but I wanted to just say a couple of quick things. One, I wanted to thank the board for listening and the process for which we're under here. It's been an exceptionally frustrating process for my wife and I. As mentioned, she's a teacher. I've been working in the COVID crisis for the last 100 days, and this is sort of our utopia, our place to go. And we inherited a problem. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. We bought this house the way it is. It's our responsibility, I guess, because of the title search and all the things that didn't do the proper things up front to protect our interests. But we inherited a problem, and we're desperately trying to become legal. We're not rule breakers. We very much want to be granted the variance and get this property properly within everybody's proper authority, because it's not comfortable for us to be to have a house that doesn't conform to the rules and regulations. So we're very much anxious to work this out, to get to a place where we can feel that you're comfortable and the house is legitimately situated.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions before we hear from the planning department, board members? No?
No.
Okay. No, Terry? Okay.
No, I was just wondering if Mr. Pomerantz or Mr. Filer had seen the recommended project conditions in the technical analysis memo that the planner put out that recommended the screening and the covenant of that.
I have read it, yes, and
Yes.
The property is well screened, but I'm sure Mr. Pomerantz is glad to screen it more and keep it screened. I think that's what he wants.
We're anxious to conform to whatever will make it comfortable for everybody's interests and regulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, in the past, and again, we don't decide this evening, just so you know. We decide this at a work session, but sometimes in the past, this board has asked that screening be covenanted, that you either, and you leave what's there, which looks like it's probably enough, but if anything dies, that you put in some replacement screening. So it sounds like you're amenable to that, which is good. So let's move along
to make this work.
I'm sorry. Say again.
I was going to say, whatever we need to do to get everybody comfortable that this fits within the character and the appropriateness of the regulations and rules that govern is what we want to do.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for your service as well. We will hear from the planning department now. Michael.
Evening, board members. Mike Delalia of Planning Department.
Good evening, Michael.
Good evening. So, John, did you want to swear me in, or?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Michael. Raise your right hand, please, my friend. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I think Mr. Filer did a good job kind of recapping the history on this. It's, probably to, the best assumption based on the aerials. This is the current 2018 aerials. And you can see the properties to the rear he's talking about are both, they're both currently vacant off of Sycamore, and these are the two neighbors that we heard from on either side. Mm-hmm. And just to kind of show you, because I know it's in the board's file, but here's 2016. Just give it a moment. And you can see the patio kind of newly installed, and here is 2013. So we've already kind of gone through the history on this. The planning department doesn't really hold an opinion either way on it, and we kind of leave it to the board to discuss whether or not they feel it meets the variance standards. As brought up, we did recommend in our assessment that screening be maintained along the affected neighbors if the board felt it, worthy as being a condition. We didn't specifically say vegetative screening because the property being under 10,000 square feet can legally be cleared to do that. So I didn't know whether the board wanted to word it a little differently and just leave it as screening, vegetated, or, a fencing of some form, or how the board felt like kind of leaving it. But like I said, we really don't have any opinion either way. So really all I have, and I'll leave myself available for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Michael, for your work on this. And yes, your TAM did a nice job with that. And from David Filer, I think we kind of have the story here. Board members, any questions for Michael? No? Okay. I don't believe we have anyone on the line calling in, do we, Mike? From LTV, anyone calling in? I don't think so. From the public?
There are no new callers on the line, just that first current caller.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mike. Okay, David, I think we've analyzed this pretty thoroughly. Do you want to make a final quick comment? We spent a lot of time on this, so if you have a quick wrap-up comment, you're welcome to. Or
No.
Mr. Pomerantz?
I'll let, if Mr. Pomerantz has anything to add, I'll rest on my record I've already made. Obviously, if any of you have any questions, I'm glad to try to answer them for you.
Thank you, David.
I'll just add by saying thank you for the time and attention to this matter.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, Vice Chair Jolene, do you want to close us out here then, please?
Sure, Mr.
We have to keep the record open.
Oh,
Please
yes.
remember, we keep the record open for 2 weeks after the transcript of this hearing has posted on the website. So we don't have a date certain, but the record, a written record, is left open either for anything that the public or the applicant may wish to add to the record after the transcript is posted.
Thank you, Counsel. Thank you.
Okay, therefore, Mr. Chairman, I want to make a motion to close the public hearing, but keep the record open for 2 weeks after the posting of the transcripts for David and Susan Pomerantz at 50 Cedar Drive, Suffolk Tax Map number 300-039-15-27.
Second.
Concur.
I concur. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, David, and thank you, Mr. Pomerantz, David Pomerantz as well.
Thank you all. Nice to see everybody.
You too. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay.
May I ask a question? Where does that transcript get posted?
It'll be posted by the town clerk, and she's going to post it where you would see our agendas. So if you go to that tab, that's where it's supposed to be posted.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Nancy. Okay, we'll move on to our second public hearing this evening. The applicant is 3 Kid Surf Shack, lot size and location 50,041 square feet at 5 Agnew Avenue in Montauk, tax map number 300-32-6-9.2. Project description: to construct a 4,200 square foot 2-story residence with 282 square feet first-story deck, 712 square foot patio, 648 square foot swimming pool, 64 square foot spa, pool fence, 20 square foot porch, window well, stairs, driveway, and sanitary system on a parcel of land containing and within jurisdiction of freshwater wetlands. The relief sought, a natural resources special permit pursuant to section 255-4-20 of the East Hampton Town Code is required for this application and any other relief necessary. This is in an A10 residential zoning district. Flood zone is X and the secret class is type 2. And counsel, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
I have affidavit of service and posting for the 11th day of June. So everything appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you. And this is in Board Member Berger's Montauk District. Terry, if you would, with your field report, please.
Tyler has the pictures. Mike, do you have those in the folder? Is Mike presented?
Yeah.
Or is Tyler on here?
Tyler's.
Share the pictures.
Tyler's here?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, I don't see him. Okay. Must be off my screen. There we go.
Hold up 1 second.
And excuse me, Chairman, we do
There we
have
go.
a caller on the line when you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
There's your picture.
Thanks, Tyler.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, my phone is ringing, so I went on mute for a second. This is a photo. You can see the property, the signs there, and there's a tree there. You'll see a better picture of the posting. It's on another one on a tree between the no parking sign and these may be out of order a little bit. That's just a shot into some of the property. It's an unimproved lot, so this is what you're going to see. I did not venture in there. Next. This is a shot from around the area. To the right is where the property is, and roughly in the area of where the driveway will be coming out of the property. It's a shot up Caswell Road from the south to the north, just to show the curve, the road curve, and some of the character of the neighborhood going up that road. This is a sign right at the corner there, and this is the property behind that that's proposed to be developed. This is another shot. Okay, and again here now I'm kind of up a little farther toward near where the neighbor's house is on Caswell, but shooting across into the property. This is the best vantage point I could get, where there was a little less shrubbery. And on the far side, you can catch a little glimpse of one of the other houses that is, I believe, part of the historic district over there. Next, and that's just another vantage point shooting down from about the northwestern part of the property, shooting down into where the property is proposed. And there may be another one of a street shot. Next. Yeah, this is from that. Okay, the one before that was just a shot down Agnew. Can you go back to that one? Yeah, this is a shot from about where, again, that you can see the street sign there, where the property is on the left out of the picture. Just a shot down Agnew. And across the street where my car is parked, that's a community preserve today. Next. And this is a shot. I went down to the corner and then 1 block south. I forget the name of the street now. But this is just some more of the houses that are on the west, to the west of where the property will be built. And I think that's it. Oh, and there's the official notice. Okay, it was on the tree. And that's it. That looks like the same one again.
Okay.
Now this is the go back if you could. This is the nearest affected neighbor. That property that adjoins the property where the property is scheduled to be built. And that's just another shot of the community preserve. Another shot down the street. I think we could skip the rest, Tyler. I actually sent Tyler 2 different sets of pictures, so we kind of have duplicates in there.
Maybe you can leave that one up or something.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, the one with the topo on it. Yeah. Or this one. That's a good shot, too.
Terry, well, that's up. I have a question. Was this house at the bottom of the screen in one of your photos just barely? And my question, is that a 2-story house, At the bottom of
Which house?
At the bottom of the screen, at the bottom of this image.
That's the one that, I believe it's 2 stories. That's the one on DeForest Road.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it looked to me like it's 2 stories, at least part of it. Yeah.
And the one on the left side of the photo now, is that 2 stories? It looks like it is as well.
This one, I'm pointing at it. You can't see me point. The white on
With
the
the
left
cursor.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, I believe it's also 2 stories, at least partially. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's the 15 Agnew.
Mhm.
What about
Might
the
be
one
also-
at the top of the screen?
The top of the screen, that's the one that you had
That's
a
in the
picture of,
Oh, we have the
that's on
picture.
Caswell.
I
That's
got
a 1 story, yeah.
I
It's
got it.
raised. Yeah, the basement's out of the ground. It looks like it's up about 8 or 9 feet, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Any other questions, board members, for Terry?
I'll ask
Okay.
Terry this, but I'm not sure if she knows, but the scenic easement to the north, which is, basically toward the road here, does that already exist based on the way the survey looks here?
I believe they have a scenic easement, yeah, along the roadway that was granted with an allowance to put a driveway to go through it.
Okay.
And I'm assuming maybe Mr. Whalen can elaborate on it. Assuming that was done, there was a subdivision done on one of these historic properties over time.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move on then. And do we have the applicant or an agent for the applicant on the line or with us?
Richard Whalen here, just checking. Can you hear me?
We can. Richard, how are you?
Yeah.
Very good, John.
Great.
Glad to see you all tonight. It looks like everyone's doing well, so I'm glad for that. So I am Richard Whalen. That's Whalen. I'm the attorney for the applicant. My address is Whalen Filer, 532 Montauk Highway, Amagansett. And I will be accompanied by Katie Ozeki of East End Land Planning. She's the applicant's planner. I refer the board, if you have anything, if you haven't already looked at all the materials, there is an application packet in the file entitled Project History, Description, Construction Protocol, and Memorandum of Law. It's a good, easy reference document with a table of contents. So this is a natural resources special permit application to construct a single-family house on a 1.15 acre lot just east of Ditch Plains, Montauk. The public hearing notice accurately summarizes the application, which is summed as a 2-story residence plus swimming pool proposed in compliance with all town zoning setbacks and other regulations. Driveway access, as Member Berger noted, will be taken from the easterly end of Agnew Avenue. The project involves no variances of any kind. All proposed improvements will comply with town zoning and land use requirements. The present application is the second proposal on this parcel. An earlier application was denied by a 3-2 vote of the board on January 17th, 2018. The applicant has made significant design changes to the project since 2018, and I will detail those changes here. The original application included a proposed detached garage. The garage is no longer proposed. The gross floor area of the residence has been reduced from 4,647 square feet to 4,200 square feet, and the number of bedrooms in the house has been decreased from 8 to 5. Building coverage has been reduced from 3,023 square feet to 2,646 square feet. Total lot coverage has decreased from 6,450 square feet to 5,870 square feet. And clearing has been lowered from 14,865 square feet to 12,340 square feet. The existing easement, yes, there is an existing easement along the northern property line. That was, I believe, a product of the 4-lot subdivision that created this property. That covers the northernmost 20 feet of the property. The applicant also proposes to grant the town a scenic easement of 18,682 square feet over the westerly portion of the lot. That would be over the only on-site wetland plus a 50-foot upland buffer. The applicant also proposes to grant the town a separate scenic easement, which is 30 feet deep along the eastern boundary of the property. The westerly scenic easement has been substantially enlarged since the last application in accordance with the planning department recommendation, and the proposed easterly scenic easement is new. If approved, there will be scenic easements over approximately 28,430 square feet of the applicant's lot, or almost 57% of the property's total lot area. The applicant is proposing a low nitrogen septic system. That system will be the required 150 feet from the nearest wetland. Although the proposed improvements exceed the town's required wetland setbacks. For example, the residence itself will be 104.8 feet from the nearest wetlands, which in that case are to the northeast. The required structural setback, as you know, is 100 feet. All other construction will be even farther from the wetlands. There will be no clearing closer than 90 feet from wetlands, that is to the northeast. The required clearing setback under the town code is 50 feet. The crushed quartz gravel driveway will be 100 feet away from wetlands, where the zoning code's only setback requirement is the maximum distance practicable. During the last review, one of the major issues that the board was concerned about was stormwater runoff. An on-site drainage plan with dry wells has been developed by engineer Edward Armus, that's A-R-M-U-S, that is in the file. And that plan is designed to ensure that all stormwater runoff generated by the improvements that are proposed is recharged to the groundwater table on site. The installed dry well capacity under the Armus plan will exceed that required for 2-inch storm. Furthermore, the location of the house is at a lower elevation than Agnew Avenue to the north, from which the driveway access will be taken. There's a bit of a lip or a rise between the development area and Agnew Avenue. Since water can't run uphill, no storm water from the property will be able to reach Agnew Avenue. This factor is independent of the dry well installation plan. The other major concern of the board during the prior application review was the compatibility of the project with the neighborhood. The residence is proposed in a town-designated historic district. This is the Montauk Association Historic District, which was established to protect the setting of the 8 large country cottages that were designed by McKim, Mead, and White and built by Arthur Benson and his friends in 1882-1883. Because this property is located within the Montauk Association Historic District, approval of the Town Architectural Review Board is mandated. The ARB was required, among other things, to make a finding that the proposed house will have a, quote, harmonious relationship, end quote, with its neighborhood, and that it be, quote, compatible with the character of the historic district, end quote. The ARB made the necessary findings and granted approval to the current project on August 22nd, 2019, amended on October 24th, 2019. The applicant's lot directly touches or abuts 5 other residential lots. That is, if we include 95 DeForest Road, which touches the applicant's property at its southwest corner. The 4 lots to the west, the southwest, the south, and the east have an average size of 1.1275 acres, which is almost the same as the subject property, which is 1.15 acres. To the north, the applicant's property abuts only 1 lot in the Oceanside at Montauk subdivision, and that is the property at 43 Caswell Road. Oceanside at Montauk is the subdivision that occupies most of what we call ditch plains. That was developed in 1957. That subdivision created 350 lots on approximately 88.9 acres of land, much of it filled wetlands. Lot sizes in Oceanside at Montauk average less than 1/5 of an acre. The house at 43 Caswell Road, which is owned by one Sidoroff, is really a 2-story structure. As the chair noted, the basement is out of ground, and in fact, the decking that you see around the house is all at the 2nd floor level. That is a house footprint of about 950 square feet. That's exclusive of the decking. Thus, the house appears to have a GFA, or gross floor area, of around 1,900 square feet on a 0.1 acre lot. Just for comparison purposes, the applicant's house is proposed to be a little more than twice that size. That's 4,200 square feet of GFA versus around 1,900 square feet on a lot which is more than 6 times the size of the lot at 43 Caswell. Finally, I should note that the house at 43 Caswell Road is non-conforming to the town's wetland setbacks. As you will see from aerial photographs such as the GIS, there is a wetland to the east of that property. In fact, there's standing water. Some of that wetland is visible to the northeast corner of our survey, the applicant survey. And if you extrapolate from our wetland flagging and from aerial photographs, it's evident that about half of the Sidoroff house is within the 100-foot wetland setback. These facts have to be taken into consideration by the board in determining if the applicant's proposed house in the Montauk Association Historic District is in keeping with the character of its neighborhood. Finally, other environmental considerations. Because the nearby wetlands are state regulated, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation must issue a freshwater wetlands permit for the project. This was originally done on May 2nd, 2017, with 2 modifications in 2017. The New York State DEC has subsequently modified its approval in regard to the current project, the current proposal, on June 24th, 2019. There was an archaeological survey conducted on the property at the behest of the New York State DEC. That survey found no historic or archaeological artifacts and recommended no further testing. And finally, for your reference, the most recent property survey is by Stephen Barilski, and that is dated last revised February 10th, 2020. I'm going to ask Katie Ozeki of East End Land Planning to address compliance with the conditions recommended by the planning department and maybe some other matters. Apart from that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Just a comment about the comparison to 43 Caswell. I believe that in your narrative that it was built prior to 1968. So as far as nonconformance, that's, I don't know how much that plays into it. But, visually, I guess I'm struggling with that it's part of the historic district, but you really don't see any of the historic district when you go by that area.
Let me, if I could, actually, you do see the house that, remember?
That one house, right.
Yeah, the chairman. And in fact, that house, because John, you asked whether that's a 2 or 3 story house. I actually saw it when I visited the property recently, and it is, when you come down Caswell, it's right in front of you. It looks like probably a 3-story house, and I don't know for sure. Katie might know that itself might be one of the original Montauk Association houses, but it's directly south of the subject property.
Excuse me, Chairman, if I may, I believe the caller on the line is Katie. Would you like me to unmute?
I have a question first for Rick, if I could.
Sure.
Rick, how you doing?
Hi, Roy. How are you?
Good. One of the concerns on the last go-round was the intensity that that design at that time had on the property and the wetlands, being that there was a number of bedrooms, which I see have been removed from this application. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in now the lower level or the basement plan, there is a rec area that is proposed and no bedrooms. Is that correct?
That's right. And I'd like to have Katie speak to the plans because we talked about that. I haven't looked at the plans for a while, but Katie is up to speed on them. But
okay.
So I'll let her do. But Roy, we did realize, I think, that a good part of the board's concern with the original application was that intensity, and the reduction from 8 bedrooms to 5 bedrooms was very much deliberate. We thought we needed to do that to get the board's approval. And, 5 bedrooms on a 1.15 acre lot, I think, is not unreasonable.
No, and I'm happy to see that. But
concern.
So my question is the applicant willing to covenant that no further bedrooms would be added to this residence?
I haven't discussed that with my client. It's certainly something that we could look into, and we could ask him.
Okay, thanks. No further
I know
questions.
the record will be left open, so we would have time to get you an answer.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Roy. Yeah, Rick, I would just add that I would appreciate that as well. You looking into that with your client, if you would.
Okay.
And as you say, the record will be open. You could just, get a memo. I think that's important. Thank you, Roy. Before we listen to let Katie speak, Any other questions to Rick, board members?
Well, just, yeah, we're still talking about the intensity. I realize there are 5 bedrooms. That's a big improvement from 8. But on the first floor, maybe Katie will address that too. There's 3 bedrooms, but, you know, a large living room and a family room. So again, it looks like it could make for a little better consolidation.
Okay, let's let Katie jump in now. Katie, do you hear us?
Hi, John.
Katie,
how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Katie, I believe you're not an attorney, so I'm going to go ahead and swear you in. If you could raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Great. Good evening, Katie. Go ahead.
So just to touch upon what Rick had said regarding the conditions, the one thing that Tyler did mention in his technical analysis memo was to make the scenic easement on the west side 10 feet larger. So the survey that you guys have is the survey showing it 10 feet larger. So we did incorporate what he had suggested. Regarding the plans, so Roy, there is no bedrooms in the basement. It's an open rec area, the mechanical room. There is a bathroom down there, and then just a storage area because we did get rid of the garage.
Right. And my question is, will the applicant be willing to covenant that there would not? Because obviously, if you look at the plans, there are still means of egress that could be considered future bedrooms. So my question is, would the applicant be willing to covenant that there would be no further bedrooms added?
Yeah, and I think that kind of what Rick had said. I mean, we have to go back and talk to the client on that, but I believe that was more for light down there because it is a pretty large rec room.
That's fine.
But again,
I have no issue with that.
Really talk to you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just say, Katie, if the plans are stating, and you're stating that it's meant to be a rec room and all that, it shouldn't be a big ask to the applicant. But anyway, I'll let you go on. Go ahead, please.
So then just to continue with the first floor plan, so it is an upside down house. So the first floor is 3 bedrooms. There's kind of going to be a formal living room, and then as the health department, it's a bonus room would be the family room. And then as you go upstairs, it's an open concept, like living room, dining, and then a master and that 5th bedroom on the 2nd floor.
Okay.
And that's, I mean, do you guys have any questions? I know Rick kind of touched upon, we have the new approvals for the architecture review board as well as the DEC, and those are all based on the new plan. We modified the DEC and went in with a new permit for the architecture review board.
Okay, Katie, the plans you're talking about are they the ones dated 6/14/2019 in your package?
Yes, those are the building.
Building the latest, right? Okay, all right.
Yeah, and in that, I mean, I don't know if you guys were given it, but that red kind of binded packet, everything that's the most recent of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Any other questions, board members, for Katie? No? Okay. Mike, do we have anyone else on the line? I'll just move. Oh, I'm sorry. We want to hear from the planning first. If we could hear next from the planning department.
Tyler Borsak for the planning department.
Good evening, Tyler. I will go ahead and swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, and good evening, and go ahead, Tyler. Thank you.
Sure. So the subject parcel is before the Zoning Board of Appeals in order to request a natural resource special permit in order to construct a 4,200 square foot 2-story residence with decking, patio, swimming pool, spa, fencing, driveway, and a new sanitary system within jurisdiction of freshwater wetlands. The parcel is located on the southeast corner of Agnew Avenue and Caswell Road in Montauk. The property lies within the Lake Montauk watershed, and more specifically, this is in Montauk Subwatershed 7. Subwatershed 7 is characterized as generating the most runoff within the entire Lake Montauk watershed for basically two reasons. It is large in size and has almost a total absence of the sandy soil types necessary for good drainage. Non-point source pollution, such as residential runoff from this subwatershed and its tributary system, is most likely a significant contributing factor to the poor water quality and high pollution concentrations in the southern end of Lake Montauk. The applicant has proposed a scenic easement over the wetland on the property that would include a 50-foot buffer to the edge of the wetlands. The size of this easement has been increased since the 2018 application and has also been increased since the writing of our assessment. It is now approximately 18,682 square feet. An additional easement, approximately 30 feet in width, has been proposed on the eastern side of the parcel as well, which is new for this application. The two-story residence, as proposed, is fairly large with a gross floor area of 4,200 square feet, which was reduced from 4,647 square feet in the 2018 determination. Overall, the design of the project has been to consolidate the structures in an area that meets the minimum wetland setbacks, utilizing the only area on the property that is outside of setbacks from both the wetland on the property to the west and the wetland off the parcel to the northeast. As there was a previous denial for a similar application recently on this parcel, it is important to compare the two applications in order to help the board determine if the applicants have done enough in redesigning the project and in order to alleviate the concerns enumerated in the board's determination. Compared to the 2018 application, the lot coverage has been reduced by 559 square feet, total lot coverage reduced by 580 square feet. The clearing has been reduced by 2,525 square feet, and the gross floor area of the residence has been reduced by 447 square feet. There's a table in the planning department's assessment which shows all that information as well. Other than just the raw numbers, the changes made to the new application include that the clearing has been reduced on the western side, which increases the setback from 90 feet to 100 feet. The swimming pool has been relocated slightly to the east. The garage has been eliminated entirely. And as previously mentioned, the western scenic easement has increased with the additional scenic easement on the east side of the property. Overall, in the board's 2018 determination, the board found that the property required a smaller footprint and the total lot coverage, that it was out of character with the neighborhood, and that a smaller footprint and limited accessory structures would be a more appropriate scale of development for the constraints of the property. Other than that, I can answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Tyler. Board members, any questions for Tyler? No? Okay. Mike, do we have anyone on the line from the public?
No, we do not have any new callers at this time.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, Rick, do you want to close this out? Any final comments you wish to make?
I think the only final comment we will be, we understand what the board is looking for in terms of assurances on the number of bedrooms. So we'll reach out to the client and hopefully give you a very prompt response.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
now,
I mean,
you know, there was one dissenting letter that we received from one of the neighbors, the owner of the 43 Caswell House. You've seen that,
I did
right?
not see that. I didn't see that.
Did not see that? It's in the record.
Katie, have you seen that letter?
Still muted.
Katie, no,
Katie,
you're not
have you seen
muted.
that letter?
You're live, Katie.
Oh, I have not. When was it uploaded onto the site? Because I have been checking it.
That's what I'm looking for. I don't know.
Brittany, do you have that when it was uploaded onto the site? Brittany?
Is it a short letter? Could you read it to us?
I'm looking for it.
It's a couple
Okay,
of pages.
Brittany's looking for it. Well, while she is, I'll just reiterate to Katie and Rick that, you've submitted these plans that show the bedrooms, and and show the basement as a rec room. We're basically asking, that these are the plans that are going to be built and that are going to be stuck with. I mean, again,
John, I think this perfectly reasonable request.
Yeah.
We have no reason to think that our client would not agree to stipulate that those are the plans, but we haven't asked him, so we should do that.
Sure.
You're going to want a recorded covenant, and so we have to see if he'll agree.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Yeah. Brittany, when you do get that.
It would seem to me, Mr. Chairman, that given the fact that we have to keep the record open for 2 weeks anyway, that Mr. Whalen would be able to have an opportunity to review and provide any additional comments he would want in response to the neighbor's letter.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's a good point, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine to me.
Yeah.
Brittany,
I'm on the website right now, and I don't see a letter. So if you guys don't mind, can you email it to us or just make sure it's uploaded?
Yeah, Brittany, make sure that gets uploaded tomorrow morning so that they have access to it, as do any other individuals watching the public hearing. So make sure if you don't have that, we can.
I see it, and it was dated June 18th.
Okay. Make sure that gets uploaded onto the site with the rest of the documents for this file tomorrow morning.
It is. I'm looking on the website right now.
Okay, great.
She's looking. Hold on a second, everyone, because Brittany, go ahead. It may be on the website already.
Oh, you know what? It might be up. There's a second page. Oh, I don't see it.
Well, I think Member Brenneman's suggestion is fine. We don't have to address it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick, feel free, Rick, when you respond with the bedroom issue, feel free to add your comments, obviously, on this letter, okay? You can add whatever you want, Okay.
Yes, I will.
Yep. Okay.
Well, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Katie, and thank you, Tyler. Terry, would you like to close this out here, and we'll leave the written record open, obviously?
Sure. So in the matter of 5 Avenue, this was Three Kids Surf Shack, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Three Kids Surf Shack. Tax map 300-032-06-9.2 at 5 Agnew Avenue in Montauk. I make a motion to close the public hearing and to leave the written record open for 2 weeks from the date that the transcript is uploaded for all public comments and submissions from the applicant and their agent.
Second.
Concur?
Concur.
And I concur. Thank you. Thank you, Terry. Okay, thank you all, and have a good
evening.
evening.
Thank you, and be well.
Thank you.
Thank
You too.
You too.
Good night.
Okay, board members, we'll move along here with our work session. We have some extensions of time. The first one I'll read in here is Evan Levine. It's at the lot size location, 15,562 square feet total at 56 Shepherd's Neck Road, Montauk. Tax map number 300-48-2-13. This is a zoning district, is a B residence harbor protection overlay district, secret class type 2, and it is an extension of time to request to obtain a building permit. Let's see, who is the planner on this? I beg your pardon, planner, I should have noted this. Or does Tyler or Michael, do you have this one?
It looks like it was Brian's.
Which one?
I pulled up the thing on it.
Yeah. I know we just discussed it at 3:00. I should have taken a better note here. I thought I had printed it out.
Yeah, it says the property appears to have satisfied the conditions necessary to initiate construction and appears to be a reasonable candidate for extension of time of the above referenced approval to obtain a building permit.
And what is the permit for, please? Is that on there?
It is not.
Yeah. Typically that is on them, but I guess this hasn't been prepared. It'll be prepared after we, it was probably sent to us quite a while ago. Terry, this is in your Montauk district. You want to comment? Terry, you there?
Terry, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
My phone rang, so I went on mute. Yeah, Brittany forwarded that to me. I didn't have the memo from Brian originally, so let me pull it up and I'll read it. Yeah, this is 56 Shepherd's Neck Road.
Right.
My PC is old, so give it a moment.
I'm trying to see if we were sent this. I thought we were sent this.
You know, I couldn't find it,
Yeah.
and then Brittany found it and sent it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually there were two. There's a memo from Brian Frank to Ann Glennon that they inspected, found the reference premises on April 28th. Sediment control consisting of wire reinforced salt manufacturing has been installed in the locations required by the determination in conditions G.3 A and B. Sanitary system adjacent to the garage to be demolished has been cleaned and abandoned, and the covenants and restrictions required by condition G3.1 have been filed. Property appears to have satisfied the prerequisites for the issuance of a building permit. And there was another memo to us. It's the same thing. Basically saying that it would look like the conditions were met. Back to that. Okay. Here's the memo to us. Planning Department inspected the reference premises in conjunction with the request for the building permit to initiate construction. Property appears to have satisfied the conditions necessary to initiate construction and appears to be a reasonable candidate for the extension of time referenced above to obtain a building permit. The original NRSP, it was an administrative NRSP filed on February 22nd of 2017.
Okay.
So, yeah, I guess we will approve this. The matter of Levine, 56 Shepherd's Neck Road, Montauk, tax map 300-048-02-13. Make a motion to approve the extension of time.
Second.
Concur.
And I concur. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Terry. Okay, next we have Alt Schul, and I'll go ahead and read this in. This is the lot size and location it's at 321 Girard Drive in Springs, tax map number 300-64-2-18.1. And the original determination was November 14th, 2007. And this is to construct a 160 square foot porch, 32.8 feet from the wetlands where 100 feet is required. And the extension of time is a request to maintain a valid building permit and obtain a certificate of occupancy. And you recall that Eleni sent us I believe it was Eleni sent us a thorough email about this extension. And she does note that there was some overclearing a little bit on one side of the house, and that will get picked up with the permit. So you don't have to worry about that getting missed. This is in board member Vice Chair Delene's district. Roy, any comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I definitely looked into this from Eleni's email. Again, this is normally with a determination this old 2007. I took a look at first. Girard Drive has gone through lots of changes since 2007, but then I came to the conclusion that the building permit is open. They built a deck and the porch is over the deck, so it's really a de minimis extension of time. I don't think we should take a look at further conditions or whatever that on Gerard Drive. So with that, I'm going to make a motion to approve the extension of time on 321 Gerard Drive, Springs, Suffolk Tax Map number 300-064-02-18.1.
Second.
Second.
Concur.
All right, Tim got the second. He beat you to it, Terry.
No, he didn't beat me that time. Okay, I'll
right,
concur.
Mike, let's
I
go
think
back
I
to the
beat him,
videotape.
I must have a lag time from Montauk.
You do. Bad service, right? Okay, I concur as well. Thank you, Roy. Okay, moving along to the next one. Extension, we have, it's Jonathan Schlaffer is the applicant at 286 Fresh Pond Road in Amagansett, tax map number 300-127-3-3. And this extension of time is to request a building permit for the original ZBA determination from 2010. I discussed this. I did not actually visit the site. We were sent a memo on this as well. Thank you, Tyler, for that with the photos. And I discussed this with Tyler this afternoon. The board members, this is not on the seaward side of the property. Tyler explains it as sort of a connecting piece that's in between the garage and the residence, again, on the landward side of this beautiful piece of property there on Fresh Pond Road. So I am okay. I am okay approving this. Do you have any questions, board members, on this?
I guess, why is it 10 years old?
No, that's a good question.
There's no indication. They haven't got an extension of time since 2012. So
Yeah.
maybe they're finally ready to do the work. I'm not, they didn't say, so.
Oh, okay, just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been concerned about that, Joan. But again, the fact that it's kind of on the landward side in between the garage and the house, it doesn't raise too many concerns as far as existing conditions changing any. So I will make a motion with regard to Jonathan Schlaffer, 286 Fresh Pond Road in Amagansett, tax map number 300-127-3-3, to approve the extension of time.
Second.
Concur.
Concur.
Great. And Tim, you concur too as well, I believe?
I did.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on, board members, to item D. Is Michael Bottini and is the applicant at 34 Chapel Lane, Amagansett, tax map number 300-103-7-7. This extension of time is for the issuance of a building permit. This goes back to 2008. And again, I've discussed this with the planners and Tyler, I believe, as well, sent a nice memo. Thank you, on June 16th. And as Tyler described it, this project has been under construction for quite a while. It's all just being wrapped up. And I believe he's just finishing some final little pieces here. All the construction is basically done. So with that in mind, I would like to make a motion to approve the extension of time for Michael Bottini at 34 Chapel Lane in Amagansett.
Second.
Second.
Concur.
And I concur.
Okay, thank you. Now,
Okay, I guess I concur. There we go. Roy got the second.
we got to work on that delay. We'll work on that for you, Terry, out there.
Yeah, I had Optimum out here today too, and Sunday.
Yes. I know, service is so slow, it's crazy. Okay, board members, we'll move along to 5 on our agenda, possible admin applications. The first one is Cheryl Alex, A-L-I-X, is the applicant. And this is at 6 and 8 Fawn Street in Montauk, tax map number 28-5-28.1 and 28.6, a project description to permit the construction of a quartz gravel driveway, land clearing, and the installation of a sanitary system on a parcel of land located within the town's wetland jurisdiction. And this was Brian Frank had this admin application. Tyler is kindly sitting in for Brian tonight. So Tyler, if you would please walk us through this.
Sure. I also, let me pull this over. I also have an aerial image to give you an idea. The wetland on the property is down here, almost into the right of way. Just to give you an idea of the topography. So there's a depression down here where the wetland is going to be. And you can see that obviously right here.
Mm-hmm.
The wetland's right down here. This is an unimproved urban renewal area. So it's just essentially dirt driveway that comes down. What they're in jurisdiction for is to bring the driveway down and across the north side of this property and then have the parking area up here. This line right here is your 150-foot set, or not setback, but jurisdictional line. So the house itself is outside of jurisdiction entirely. So it's the driveway is within jurisdiction up until 150 feet, and then the sanitary is just within jurisdiction over here. Sanitary system jurisdiction would be 200 feet, which would be this line back here. So it's the sanitary system and the driveway that are really what's within jurisdiction, as well as a little bit of clearing up here in sort of the front yard area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
And that driveway is ultimately going to go down Faber Street, right?
What?
If you go up there to there,
it'll
right?
It'll come from here and then connect right here. And they'll have to obviously move this shed, which I think is this neighbor's shed.
Yeah, somebody had a shed in there.
They'll have to move out of there, obviously. But yeah, they'll connect to this driveway here and come in along the north side and then up to the house.
And did you say the pole gets moved? They go underground for that pole, or?
Yeah, the pole either have to be. Yeah, I don't know what they'll do, but yeah, they'll have to move the pole and the shed.
Right.
And
right away thing. Yes.
And Tyler, is there any topography that we have to worry about where we have drainage going down towards the wetlands that we have to contain? All right,
I
there you go.
mean, yeah, obviously there is topography. It all sort of comes down this way, but there's a peak right here. So a lot of the house is over here, so it should actually probably go south.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Going towards.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I mean, it'll obviously run off in all directions, but I think the majority of it will probably head south.
Mm-hmm.
So if it heads south, then I had a lengthy discussion with Brian on this one because I actually tried to find this. Could tell him I didn't really see the wetland. He wanted to know if it was dry, but I didn't delve into it. But South Fawn Street is an unopened road, so I guess the way they did the roading creates the need for that long driveway going in the other direction. Right. But I am okay with this going administratively.
Okay, I agree. Board members, do you agree with Terry on that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Terry, would you like to make a motion, please?
Sure. And for the applicant Cheryl Alix at 6 and 8 Fawn Street in Montauk, tax maps 300-28-5-28.1 and 28.6, I make a motion to approve this application to be handled administratively.
Second.
Concur.
Concur.
And I concur as well. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Terry. Next item B is John O'Rourke, is the applicant at 58 Oyster Shores in East Hampton. Tax map number 300-93-3-2.1. And this is to clear approximately 2,300 square feet and install a non-permanent kayak rack on a parcel of land containing wetlands. This is kind of an interesting one. Michael, could you walk us through this, please?
Sure, board member. So what this is the Hampton Waters Property Owners Association property down on the end of Island Road. And what they are looking to do is, it's, the way I wrote it up is a little more than what they're actually looking to do. Just because we don't have a survey depicting the exact work they're going to do. They gave us an area where they want to clear and put in a kayak rack. But they want to do, the application is actually to cut a trail along here and install a kayak rack back here. It meets the 100-foot from the wetlands along this side and up in here. It was the only real usable space on the lot. So the end goal is to get all these kayaks and paddle boards and other crafts that are down, kind of on the marsh and, within the wetland, to get them in a centralized location. So, we've been working with them for a while on it, and is kind of what we've put forward. We don't really have an objection to it. It really is kind of small. They're going to try to do as much hand trimming and cutting as they can to get in there to create a path. So, you know, that's kind of the end of it. The existing clearing in here has been on the lot at the very least since 83. We were able to find it actually in some of our older aerials, but they've really done nothing else with the property. So here's the clearing here. You can kind of see where the fencing is. So that stuff's been there since prior to jurisdictions. This is really the only thing going on, you know, 84 on the property. But that's kind of,
Yeah. Sorry, Michael. I was just going to say, I know this is in board member Brenneman's, but I just jumped on the Google Maps, and it's interesting. You know, as Tyler says, you go down Oyster Shores, and then you make a right on Island Road, and even on the aerial, I'm seeing a dozen kayaks and you know, boats and paddle boards or kayaks. So, and the clearing that you see there is out of the property, as you see from the blue property line there. But anyway, my point is, I think this is really a great idea, Tyler, and thanks for working with them on this, because it mitigates people stomping through all that nice, you know, beach grass and beach vegetation at the shore, and just leaving their kayaks kind of anywhere. So I think this is really going to be a benefit. That's my opinion. But Tim, I'm sorry, you want comments, Tim?
Just to confirm my understanding, there are no structures on this property currently?
With the exception of the split rail fence, no, there's no structures on the property. There's a little bit of encroachment. You'll see over here from the neighboring parcel. We've kind of left it up to them for what they, you know, handling that. But yeah, there are no structures, and I believe it's, you know, listed as kind of the reserve area for the property owners. So it'll remain this way. It's not a, you know, as far as I know, it's not a lot that can have a residence or anything like that on it.
Actually, I'm glad you pointed that out. I wonder, board members, it seems if this is going administratively, if that shouldn't become part of one of your, Tyler, one of, you know, the conditions there, that gets somehow delineated, and that neighbor stops mowing or something like that, or do you follow me? It seems like this is a chance to take care of that encroachment.
I think
Michael, I'm sorry, I said Tyler.
I can recall, I believe the Property Owners Association is talking to that homeowner about it. Let me pull up the survey and see how, because these, if you notice where these lot lines are, they may be off.
Yeah.
So let me just see. That's Tyler's. Let me see if I can pull up a copy of the survey that they submitted to us.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So it may not be as extensive as it looks
there.
Here.
Yeah, but you see it there, correct? It's on that survey, it looks like, right?
Yes. So it's over here. Let me just rotate it so I'm...
So you don't have to turn our head sideways.
Yeah.
So
there we go.
Well, I'd like to see you make that a condition that gets revegetated in some sort or something, Tyler.
Michael.
Okay.
I mean, Michael.
Yeah,
Tyler, sorry. Michael.
I can write that into the permit.
Yeah. Do you agree, board members?
No. It'll probably, with what they're intending to do and what their final clearing may end up being, it may end up being kind of a net zero with where they're going to, you know, cut in the hand trail and area for the kayak rack.
And re-veg that in some fashion.
Yeah, the clearing should effectively be the same on the lot.
Right.
There's going to be no footings or posts or anything with the kayak rack itself.
Right. Right. Okay, if you could do that, that'd be great.
Sure.
Tim, any comments, Tim?
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay.
in the matter of John O'Rourke at 58 Oyster Shores in East Hampton, tax map number 300-93-3-2.1, that we approve this going administratively.
Second.
Concur.
And I concur as well. Okay, thanks, Tim. And Michael, thank you for your work on that. Okay, that brings us next to, we have the minutes, I believe. Next are the minutes. I believe we have the May, what do we have, the June 16th? Is that, I think we also have May, so we had 2 in May. Is that correct, board members?
We did
We
those
approved those last
We
week.
did
Wait,
them
I'm
last
sorry, I was
week.
looking at last week. Right. Would someone like to make a motion on the June 16th minutes?
I just had a quick comment.
Yeah.
Actually, 2. One is that the formatting of the minutes is considerably different. It's we have a 13-page minute document which includes the TAMs,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure that it's necessary. So, I'm perfectly comfortable approving them as is, but with the suggestion that we skinny them up as they were done previously. The other comment would be that the stationery that they're printed on shows Denise Savarese as the administrative secretary, and we probably should change that up because it gives a false indication.
Thanks. I agree completely. Actually, we've discussed it. We've mentioned this before, and Nancy Lynn, I'm sure you agree. It really doesn't. It's the stationery. It's basically like the agenda, and it doesn't even clearly state that these are the minutes. It's just a sentence is added at the end. That board member Berger made a motion or something like that. So I agree, Tim. I think these could be thinned up so that really the comments of the minutes pop out, and we can always go back. And also, I'd like to see it very clearly state that these are the minutes for the Zoning Board of Appeals for June 16th, 2020.
So why don't we put this on for the agenda, next agenda, a new version?
Yeah. Great. Okay. Thank you, Tim. Tim, do you want to make that motion?
No, we're going to table them to revise them and have them on for the next.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That way we really get it done. Yeah, good. Thank you, Nancy Lynn. That's a good idea. Thank you. Okay, and then resolutions, board members. We have the modification resolution for Burkhart, I believe.
That's correct.
Yep. And that's in board member Berger's Montauk District. Terry?
Do I have, I think the agenda I printed out.
It may not. Would you like me to read in the name and the tax map?
Yes, I know it's Lynn. Yes, please. The tax.
Yeah, I have that. I have that also. Go ahead, Councilor, if you would.
It's Linda Burkhart, tax map number 319-7-9.1 for 255 Fairview Avenue in Montauk.
Right. Okay. All right. So for Linda Burkhart, tax map 300-19-7-9.1 at 255 Fairview Avenue in Montauk, I make a motion to approve the modification as written.
Second.
Concur.
And I concur as well. Okay. Thank you, Nancy Lynn. Thank you, Terry. Let's see, Council, any other business on your end?
That's all I have.
Okay, Vice Chair, do you have a motion for us?
Sure. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for the Town of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals, June 23rd at 8:09 p.m.
Second.
I'll concur.
Terry got the second.
Come on, I was going to say, that's not even close.
And Joan, you concur, I'm sure. Joan, yeah. And I concur as well.
Tim did that on purpose.
He did, I know he did.
Yeah.
We're getting punchy. Well, thank you, everyone, and have a good evening. And I guess we'll see you all 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, likewise.
Right. Good to see everybody.
Yep.
Bye.
Take care.
All right. Good night.
Good night.